got some major injury updates on both Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo, the two-star players for Miami, may be close to returning to this Heat roster. I am Nick Roloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. The reason why we're making this video is, well, the day before Miami played the Knicks on Monday, which would be Sunday, the Heat held a practice for the first time in a while since they had multiple days off in a row. And guess what? Bam Adebayo and Tyler Herro both practiced with Miami. Now, they did not participate in everything, but they were out there doing a lot of stuff, which signals they could be close to returning to this Heat lineup, which would make Miami fully healthy for the first time all season. More coming in a timeline update, but make sure you do subscribe. We'll be live on Wednesday for the Heat Warriors game and on Friday for Heat Bulls. We got videos out every day in between games. We are a interactive community here at the Heat Report. We're 27 subscribers away from 25.8K. Hit that sub button and join the channel for daily Heat content. Herro is about a week away from returning. There were a lot of rumors, and the early indication back in September was maybe Herro could return this week for the games against the Knicks on the 17th and the Warriors on the 19th, because that was the original 6 weeks projection. But that ultimately is not the case. He will be out for this week in all likelihood. Tyler Herro, after practice on Sunday, spoke to reporters, says, "It felt great just being out there with my teammates and being on the court with them for the first time all season. Felt great to be in the drills. My foot is getting better. I've been rehabbing around the clock every day since my surgery, trying to get back as soon as I can. I'm looking at returning to games in about a week or two, hopefully barring no setbacks, so we'll see what happens." And he did note that he was hoping that his foot would have responded a little bit better to where he would be out for 5 weeks and then 1 week of ramping up, but seems like he'll be out for 6 weeks, about a week of ramping up, which puts him likely on a return path for next week sometime. I mean, if you had to have my guess on when he's ultimately back on the court again for the Miami Heat, I would bet his debut this season comes at home on November 26th, the day before Thanksgiving, against the Milwaukee Bucks. I have no inside information, no sources, but just based off what I have read throughout this entire process of him rehabbing, what he said to the media, and other rumors out there, that's just the best possible outcome, I think, for the Miami Heat. Maybe it's a little bit after that, but I feel like he could return that Wednesday game a week from today. And this is a guy here that could really elevate this Miami Heat offense. Obviously was an all-star in 2024, had a career year. Now, a lot of that was because he was forced to be the lead initiator on offense for Miami, and you wonder how much volume really was the indicator and factor for him to have the success that he had. But I am excited to see Tyler Herro return to this Heat offense. It is just going to be hard for me to ultimately see how the Heat rotation changes, because Miami has obviously had to start different players with Herro out. They originally started Davion Mitchell, Powell, Wiggins, Jovic, and Bam. Then they went Bam and Ware. Obviously, Adebayo is hurt, so the starting lineup over the past week has been Davion Mitchell, Norman Powell, Pelle Larsson, Wiggins, and Kel'el Ware. But the question is, who do you take out of the starting lineup for Tyler Herro out of Mitchell, Powell, and Larsson? I can tell you right now, there's no world where you take Norman Powell out of the starting lineup, because he's been your best offensive player and been your most consistent guy as well. So the question then comes down to, who do you take out of the starting lineup between Davion Mitchell and Pelle Larsson? Mitchell did come off the bench last year near the end of the season, with Herro being that lead point guard. Would they do that again, or will it be Pelle Larsson? It is real tough decisions. And before I give you my thoughts, I want to get your thoughts. Who goes to the bench when Herro returns? Because Herro will be starting. Type DM for Davion Mitchell or type PL for Pelle Larsson. I don't want him to go to the bench, but I do ultimately believe it will be Pelle Larsson, because he is maybe the most dispensable, if you will, in that starting lineup. I just think Davion Mitchell is so important to what Miami does, and you've really seen his defensive prowess this year. You've seen his ability to get into the flow of the offense, break down his defender, and create for others. Davion Mitchell has just been so special this year. And although Pelle Larsson has been absolutely sensational, I just think him coming off the bench makes sense. But I also think they could go with Davion off the bench and basically just take away Drew Smith's minutes and have those minutes that Drew Smith gives you be Davion off the bench. But it's hard to deny how well Larsson has played this year as a starter. I mean, you look at the season so far for Pelle, his numbers as a starter are exponentially better than him as a reserve. And yeah, when he's been a reserve, he really hasn't played just at all, only averaging 5 minutes a game in comparison to the 26 minutes a night as a starter. But look how good he has played. He is taking that second-year leap that we were hoping for him to take this season. And you wonder if he's forced to come off the bench again, is he going to be able to do that? Like, Miami has a good problem on their hands. They got a really deep team. And when Bam and Herro return, people are going to lose minutes. Whether it's Drew Smith, who's been really good. Whether it's Nikola Jovic, who you gave an extension to, but he's really struggled this year. Whether it's Larsson losing minutes a little bit, which would be a bummer because he's been good. Fontecchio. Like, there's just so many players that could get their minutes diminished a little bit because Herro and Bam return to the lineup. And it's sad to see that happen, but you also have to get your best players on the floor. It's a good problem for Miami to have. Anybody can beat you. Anyone can contribute to winning. We'll get to Bam Adebayo's timeline here in a second, but this episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. The basketball season continues on, and the feeling of being right never gets old. So keep the season rolling on PrizePicks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. So simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least 2 player stats, and if you get your picks right, you could cash in. How you play is up to you. You want flexibility, you choose the flex play where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the power play. No matter your play, PrizePicks is a great way to put your takes to the test. I have an entry in for the football action this upcoming weekend. More than Drake May passing yards against that horrific Bengals defense. More than Caleb Williams rush yards against that struggling Steelers defense. And then I'll also go with more than Rashee Rice. I think he gets in the end zone against the Indianapolis Colts. Join me and the millions of others on PrizePicks. Download the app today and use code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. It's good to be right. Let's segue into a Bam Adebayo injury update because this is an arguable player that is more important to get back to this lineup than Tyler Herro, and I will make the argument that is actually the case. Bam spoke to reporters after practice on his injury, saying that is up to the training staff, referring to when he ultimately returns. Obviously, they're trying to protect me from myself, but it felt good to just be out there in practice. A lot less pain that I had, a lot less, so I'm working toward getting out there. He's so crucial to our success. He is, without a question, the most important player on this Heat team this season. And when you watched him on the court in his first 7 games of the year, you really started to see a evolution, if you will, but also a more aggressive Bam. Bam has appeared in 8 games, but I took out the game against the Nuggets because he got hurt 2 minutes into the game and did not return. But he, when he's started and finished a game, is averaging 22 points a night, 9 boards, while shooting 46% from the field, and impressively 35% from 3. And by the way, his attempts this year have gone up significantly. Last year, he averaged about 3.5 3-pointers a game attempted, and he shot about 33%. So far, early on in the year, before he got hurt, he was averaging 6.2 attempts from beyond the arc a game and shooting more efficiently. He had 4 3-pointers in multiple games this year. And you really just see the team success difference between Bam being on the floor and him not being on the floor. In the first 7 games of the year when Bam played, the Heat were a top half offensive rating team, a top 5 defensive rating team, and a top 10 defensive rebounding team. They had a 71.7 defensive rebounding percentage, 8th best in the NBA. But what have I said about the Heat's inability to rebound over the last week and a half, which has led Miami to really struggle in the win-loss column? Well, that's been without Bam. It's been 7 games with them, 7 games without him. The Heat are the second worst team in the NBA in terms of their defensive rebounding ever since Bam has gotten hurt. And look at the defensive rating. It's taken a massive step back. They went from 3rd in the NBA to 20th in the NBA without Bam Adebayo compared to with. Like, it's so obvious, and I hate that fans try to diminish what Bam brings to the table. He is the most important And I would say he is the best player on our team. And I think that is no questions asked. Like, he is so crucial. And hopefully he can return soon. I actually think his timeline is ultimately going to be the same as Tyler Herro's. I think Bam is out another week here and returns next week, whenever that is. But when you heard Bam get hurt, there was churmurs and rumors that the injury for Bam was going to be 3 to 6 weeks. Well, the injury happened on November 5th against the Nuggets. That's 2 weeks basically from today. So if he's out another week and returns around the same time as Tyler in the 25th, 26th of November, well, that would mark 3 weeks for Adebayo. So I think that makes the most sense. But I do want to also show some major props to Kel'el Ware, who's filled in for Bam Adebayo. And in the 6 games Bam has missed, where he has been out, didn't start, Kel'el Ware, back in the starting lineup, has been very, very solid. 12 points, 12 boards, 2 blocks a night, shooting 54% from the field, and he's knocked down 33% of his three-point shots on about 2 attempts a game. And he was absolutely phenomenal against the New York Knicks on Monday. And it was good to see a response from him after getting absolutely crushed on the boards Friday night by Knicks bigs Mitchell Robinson and Karl-Anthony Towns, where the Knicks had 20 offensive rebounds. Miami bounced back and only allowed 13 offensive rebounds on Monday. And a couple of those offensive rebounds came late in that game in the final minute. So for basically 47 minutes, you allowed only about 10 offensive rebounds. Where is such a paradox, if you will, because he is capable of being the most dominant player on the floor. There are games where he literally looks like a Rudy Gobert disciple. The way he's able to defend the rim, rebound, and dominate inside on putbacks offensively, as well as lobs. And I think he is capable of doing that every single night. But he does not do it because there are games where he looks checked out. He doesn't make the extra effort on the glass, the extra defensive rotation. He's not in the right spot defensively. And it frustrates me. And many people take my frustrations about this and label it as hate and rooting against Kel'el Ware. That could not be farther from the truth. I hope he is an all-NBA level center. And I think he has the potential not to be an all-NBA level center, but an all-star level center. Because you see the type of impact and performance he can have against 2 big men that are very good in Mitchell Robinson and Cat last night. But you also see the same exact matchup go poorly on Friday night. Why? Oh, because of effort and the willingness to box out and be aggressive on the boards. Just Ware. Do it every night. Like, you'd hope he would have learned from Bam Adebayo, because no matter what you want to say about Bam, he gives you maximum effort, shout out Deadpool, every single night. I just need Ware to do the same, and he could be special. That'll do it for today's show. Like I mentioned, we'll be live again tomorrow for Heat Warriors. Jimmy Butler returns to Miami for the second time since his trade. Miami blew him out last year when he returned. We'll see what they can do this time around. Obviously, no Herro or Bam still for Miami, which is a major bummer, but this Heat team is certainly still capable of pulling off a win if they play smart and good basketball. So hopefully you join us for that big game.